Healing minds, inspiring voices, living truth, making choices. This is your space. Just be you, authentically peculiar with Marcia. Welcome to a space where healing is real, where your voice matters and your truth is enough. With authentically peculiar. Season 5, the year of expansion, healing deeper, living louder, stepping fully into who you are. Authentically peculiar with Marcia.
Welcome back to Authentically Peculiar with Marcia. I am so excited because my guest today, Mr. Justin Wilson, AJW the poet, is someone that I met on TikTok. And he allowed me to actually speak on his platform on his live. And I've never gone live, so now I'll be forced to go live. But this young man is a certified mental health and life coach. He is the author of Courageous Vulnerability, a facilitator focused on emotional awareness and personal accountability. With multiple certifications in mental health coaching and motivational interviewing, which is one of my favorite modalities as a therapist, Justin combines training with lived experience to create spaces where individuals can be honest, can be heard, and can grow. His work centers on helping people better understand themselves and build healthier relationships with others. Thank you so much for saying yes when I put that flyer out, needing the voice of men to come on the show.
Thank you for having us. I look forward to being a part of this.
I'm excited. I'm excited. I just did your marketing package and the flyers turned out beautifully. I'm going to send them over to you so you can see them. But let's get started. So
Yes,
today
sir.
I invited Justin to come to Authentically Peculiar with Marcia so that we can talk about masculinity and mental wellness. And we're going to tap a little bit into father wounds as well. But we're talking about it from not from the outside looking in, but from within the lived experience of a man that's doing the work and guiding others to the work. But we got to be honest. A lot of men were never taught on how to feel, how to function, how to be, and they respond to consequences. So with Coach AJW here with me today, we're going to get into this and start talking about it. My hope and goal for this episode is for men to know that they have a safe space and they have a right to have a voice. So when we start talking about masculinity and mental wellness, what does that mean to you personally?
Um, well, I was raised down south, so masculinity is kind of a one-way thing. It's 99% stoicism, and the other 1% is stoicism as well.
Mm-hmm.
And as I've grown up and kind of experienced like life on my own,
Mm-hmm.
um, there is a healthy bit of stoicism within masculinity, but that's not all it is.
Yeah.
And to some degree, as an individual, you get to decide what that is. You have to make a choice, and they, of course, culture and people are going to have feelings about it. But in
Mm-hmm.
order for me to start the process of regulating my central nervous system, I had to
Mm-hmm.
just decide I didn't care what people
Mm-hmm.
thought on some things. I had to be okay with me,
Mm-hmm.
um, and be okay with being authentically peculiar. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, so yeah, that's what masculinity is for me. And what was the second part of the question?
And the second part of the question was, just what did it mean for you personally? You said that. You said, I had to make a choice on
Right.
what it is for me, not getting caught up in socialized norms, not getting
Hmm.
caught up too far into the stoicism because it does have a place. but not getting caught up too far in it and making
Hmm.
a decision what masculinity meant for you because you were the one that was going to be demonstrating it. So yeah, you
Absolutely.
answered it. But that's
Absolutely.
pretty powerful though in your self-awareness of saying, I don't have to subscribe to the social norms. I literally can create my lane. How did you decide to do that?
It was necessary. Honestly, it was a matter of life and unaliving. I'm assuming I have to say it that way for the sake of the platform, but it was a matter of life and unaliving because um one of the things that I discovered over a period of time is like male vulnerability,
Mm-hmm.
and it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't necessarily a thing. And it the only thing, like when I started thinking about what vulnerability meant to me, it was the only way to process my way through
Mm-hmm.
life experiences, through trauma. And I just didn't care. Like I wanted to live, so I didn't care what else. I had to let go of what culture said and what people said and how other
Yeah.
people defined me. I had to uh understand that there is a place for it. Like I never want people to walk away thinking there's not a place
Right.
for it. But when it's decentering you and
Mm-hmm.
not allowing your nervous system to regulate, then you have to let that go. Like nervous system
Yeah.
regulation is a huge thing. And so
And
I it was a matter of life and unaliving for me.
yeah, and the first thing, the unaliving, I choose or have because I've done suicide work for so long to say someone has made a choice to complete their life, even in that unaliving, because they still make a conscious decision out of desperation, out of hurt, out of pain to choose to complete their life. I think that gives it a little bit more grace and gratitude, you know,
Hmm.
uh, because we're always trying to find the catchword to say so that our stuff doesn't get blocked, you know. But I also want to honor those that felt like there was nothing else that they could do. We want them to stay here, but
Absolutely.
you know, I want to honor that decision that they made. So thank you for being here and,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
and choosing, you know, even in your discovery of vulnerability. One of the things as a clinician that I run into with the men that I provide therapy for is they aren't lacking emotion, they're conditioned to suppression.
Absolutely.
What's your thoughts about that?
I think that is the one of the very first things I learned
Mhm.
when I was finally convinced to get into therapy. Because of
Mhm.
course I'm an foundational Black American or Black American, however people say it nowadays. But I was raised in a culture where therapy was not a thing,
It's taboo.
um, and definitely taboo. And I went through a divorce, and
Mhm.
I just spent a year and a half where there wasn't a day that went by that I did not have not being here on my mind.
Mhm.
Um, I'm a believer in Christ, so my I believe Christ used the presence of my children to keep me here. And
Mhm.
eventually I was like, you know what? I've prayed, I've did everything else. I'm giving therapy a try because if not, I'm not gonna be here. And for
Mhm.
me, it was one of the greatest decisions that I've ever made.
Yeah.
Um, and it is not, I always say it is not what you see on TV. You will not be
It's
laying across the couch while somebody is writing something on a pad and you got to pay them $1 million for the hour y'all talk. It's so not that at all.
it's
Um,
this. It's what we're
exactly.
doing. This is how I am in therapy. As a
Right.
therapist, this is me. It
Right.
ain't nobody laying on my couch in my office. We not doing that. We just not doing that. You no.
Absolutely.
So I'm so glad that you gave yourself permission. I often tell people, and I know for like during COVID, all the T-shirts popped up that says you can have Jesus in therapy, and you can,
And
and you can.
absolutely.
And I was
And you
licensed in,
should.
and you should. I
Right.
personally, I think that everyone should see their therapist minimally twice a year. Just like you're
Absolutely.
going to the dentist for a tooth cleaning, I think you need to see a therapist twice a year. One, because people get tired of hearing your stuff because they stuff not worked out.
Right.
Two, you won't be as vulnerable with your folks because you still got that mask of strength on, right?
Right.
And so you need somebody else out there, which leads into my next question. Your book, Courageous Vulnerability. I kind of scanned the internet real quick when I found out about it. Uh, It's such a powerful combination. Courage and vulnerability. What made you choose those words?
um, as a man and specifically a black man, to experience vulnerability initially and
Mhm.
so far in my experience will take courage.
Yeah.
um it will take strength,
Mm-hmm.
and I needed men to know, if it takes courage and strength to be vulnerable, how can vulnerable be weak? Because we
Mm.
associate the word vulnerability with weakness, but
Mm-hmm.
it takes strength and courage to use it, so it can't be weak. And that's just my thoughts on it. And so I want men to understand that you allowing yourself to function in your humanity, that's
Mm-hmm.
exactly what that is.
Mm-hmm.
And experience these experiences that, whether you acknowledge or not, they are having an impact on you.
Absolutely.
um um it's going to take courage. So there's a strength to going and see a therapist. There's a strength to going in there and actually allowing your therapist to work, because they're going to work with what you give them. So if you give them
Mm-hmm.
nothing, you get nothing.
Right. Right.
You don't go sit there and breathe and get a lot of advice. Like, the reality is you'll probably
It
do a
hurts.
lot of the talking.
Therapy hurts. I,
Right.
I'm just gonna tell the whole truth because I know everybody likes to sugarcoat it.
Hmm.
I am a trauma specialized therapist. It
Hmm.
hurts. My
Absolutely.
job is to get to the core of your pain. So
Right.
I'm not gonna sit and lie to people and say you're gonna come to therapy and it's gonna be peachy king and we gonna, be smelling roses. No, if you come to therapy with Marcia Blaine, you gonna
Mm.
work and it's gonna
Yeah.
hurt. It's,
I
it's gonna
love what
hurt in the beginning. Mm-hmm.
you're going to work. I think people need to know, your therapy, you're going to work. It is not, we go and sit down with our friends and we say, "No, I could just talk to my friend." That's not what therapy is. Like, let's dispel that. It's not just sitting with a conversation. You're going to a therapist. I don't like to use terms like real therapist, a good therapist, but a therapist is going to, you're going to do some work. It
Mm-hmm.
requires you. Um, and if you don't mind, just to share with people, hopefully the people who watch this can take from this what they will. But my intention is to just be honest and open,
Mm-hmm.
and be courageously vulnerable, because courageous vulnerability is after I've started therapy and seeing what it is. One of the
Mm-hmm.
things that I talked about in courageous vulnerability, um, when I was like 6 or 7 years old, I
Mm-hmm.
started being sexually abused,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and it lasted until I was like 10 or 11 years old.
Yeah.
And from 10 or 11, I spoke on it one time
Mm-hmm.
to my mother. And then from that point forward, I didn't deal with it until I was 35.
Mm-hmm.
I had just learned that I was going to be going through a divorce, and I was working, driving to Connecticut, and I had to pull over on the side of the interstate because that thing in me was going to take me out that day. And I cried and I
Yeah.
yelled and I screamed and I hollered and I poured it out, and I acknowledged to me and apologized to me.
Mm-hmm.
Then after that, I went and sat with a therapist who worked my way through it. So now it's not even true to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
I've turned that trigger into hopefully somebody else being empowered. And so
Mm-hmm.
that is the power of therapy that I don't think people really get to see and acknowledge, because there are confidentiality for the therapist
Mm-hmm.
to say something. But I'm saying, that's a process that I went through. It was super, super beneficial. And I think, again, my brothers specifically, like, you have things you've experienced in life, you
Mm-hmm.
just give it a try, and don't go 1 or 2 times. I would commission you to give it a 3 month honest effort, and then after that, if you got to figure something else out, fine.
Oh yeah, I love that. First of all, thank you so much for your transparency and vulnerability. As a childhood survivor of sexual trauma, I know the difficulty of one trusting ourselves to tell our story.
Mhm.
Because when we do say something at that young age where we're not in control and it's kind of pushed to the side, it gives us a message as if our voice isn't important.
Right.
But I am one to say this is one reason why I don't like when people tell boys, stop crying, man up, because it silences their voices, and that pain has to go somewhere. And that
Mhm.
pain turns to anger because there's no other acceptable expression except for in the Black community for Black men.
Absolutely.
And I am
Absolutely.
so grateful that you brought that up because my hope is that other men will understand it's okay to talk about what you experience. It doesn't make you less than a man because one, you were probably more than likely at an age, position, and size that you couldn't even defend yourself.
6 or 7 years old.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I
And
didn't know what was happening until much later.
yep. I had a client who went through that and was diagnosed with ADHD. And I said to him, baby, that's not ADHD, that's PTSD,
Mm.
post traumatic stress disorder, based on that early childhood trauma. You can pay attention, did pay attention, but it wasn't safe for you to be quote unquote good. Bless you, them allergies getting you. But you couldn't be good because being good meant you had to go straight home from school.
Right.
Versus if I be bad, I got to stay after school, and so that lengthens the time that somebody has accessibility to me to harm you. So I want to say to the men that's listening to us right now, it's safe. You want to be in a safe space to talk about what happened to you. If that even includes your mama cussing you out, telling you that you weren't going to be nothing, comparing you to your daddy, if that means that you may have had more effeminate manners because your mama made you clean up and iron and all that kind of stuff, talk about it because that stuff staying inside, it'll take you to that place where Justin was driving to Connecticut on his way to make a decision. But the decision that he made is courageous vulnerability. That is such a powerful testimony. That is such a powerful testimony. Thank you so much. You don't even know how many chills I got from you sharing that because women will share now that they have permission to share. And so when I hear men sharing their trauma, their vulnerability, their openness, it does my heart good because if we can get more men sharing, they no longer have to hide in anger. What are your thoughts
Absolutely.
about that?
I think that it's very important for men to understand that safety to share is a decision.
Mm,
Um, it's not, you're not going to find it in anyone else. You have to decide
yeah.
that I'm going to be safe with sharing this, and
Mhm,
I don't care what anybody says. I don't care how people look at me, because I'm healing.
mhm,
And if we think about, like, I'm a one of the things that I developed in my healing process, and I consider it a form of therapy for me, is I go to the gym.
yes.
Um,
Mhm,
and when I started out in the gym, I didn't look the same way I do
mhm,
now. It was, muscles were not developed and everything, but over
mhm,
time, the muscles developed. and my strength improved and my endurance improved. And that's the same way in the healing process. When you first start talking about it, it's quiet, it's timid,
Mhm.
but you just have to decide, you know what, I am going to face this because I do not want to live here inside of me anymore. And
Yeah.
as you work and process, it'll manifest itself, and then it doesn't matter what nobody say. I don't
Mhm.
care what your version of manhood is. That's your version. You develop it.
Yes.
Your life experiences did that. If you think you got to be silent, if you think you got to be quiet, if you think that makes you tough,
Mhm. Mhm.
do what you got to do. But
Do what you
for
got to do.
me, if I didn't if I didn't correct those issues, I wholeheartedly believe I would have, how the young people say nowadays, crashed out and did
Mhm.
something that would have cost me my life or my freedom
Yep.
because I decided to try to maintain a false sense of stoicism,
Mhm.
like this
Mhm.
this this TV stoicism. And yeah, no, I refuse to do that. I refuse
I
to do
love
it.
that. I love that you chose you. It took, going through the divorce and so many other things, and then that self-discovery or self-permission to heal from the trauma. What did vulnerability cost you?
Ooh, ooh, man. It did cost a lot of tears. It cost a lot of who I was. The
Mm-hmm.
parts of me that were damaging but safe because I had been in them.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanna safety can just because it feels safe does not mean it's not damaging you.
Right.
Um
Say that again. Golly, that's good.
just because it feels safe does not mean it's not damaging you. If you feel safe in anger, if you feel safe and you can develop a certain level of resilience to a dysregulated nervous system,
Mm-hmm.
cortisol levels through the ceiling, stress through the ceiling, you can feel that you're normal.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not normal.
It's
And so
not normal.
it cost me everything that developed that persona that people used to say, man, you look so mean. It was a
Mm.
defense mechanism. Man, you
Mm-hmm.
look like you
Mm-hmm.
would hurt somebody. It was a
Mm-hmm.
defense mechanism. I was a scared little boy until I allowed that little boy that lived inside of a 35-year-old man at that point to grow up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I let
And
him
take
say
his
what he
rest.
needed to say. Yeah, man.
Mm-hmm.
And I deal with him all the time. Like I go and talk to him all the time. Man, you okay? Say what you
Mm-hmm.
gotta say. Like
And
I tell people all the time, I don't just ask myself questions. Sometimes I answer them.
that's it. And listen, I got the best answers for me. I know for me, I would,
Exactly.
tell people, I'll tell my clients, put your hand over your heart and ask your young self, what do you need from me right now? And just sit in that, giving
Right.
your younger self permission to have a voice. So what did vulnerability give you back?
Um, it gave me it's hard to say back because it happened so young. And I
Mm-hmm.
grew up in a culture that also promoted the what looked like stoicism. So
Mm.
vulnerability gave me the ability to be okay with it gave me the tools to be able to fight what I was because what I was hasn't left how I was raised. I was still raised that way. So
Mm-hmm.
my default sometimes is to clam up and get quiet. But then I have to remember, how is this behavior helping me move forward?
That's good.
If it's not, no, I have to tell
Mm-hmm.
me, no, you're going
Yeah.
to talk. You're going to be vulnerable. It allowed me when I deal with women, for example, like
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna be in no toxic situation. No. I've worked so hard for my peace. No,
Mm-hmm.
ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not
It
what you want, please just tell me so I can go.
just
Because I do love hard.
yeah,
But
and
if
go
I'm
about
not
your
what you want,
business.
and no hard feelings or anything like that, but
Mm-hmm.
I've worked so hard
Mm-hmm.
to be able to look in the mirror and smile.
Mm-hmm.
Like my smile cost me something. I actually
Yeah.
have a poem titled Smile because it costs so much to be able to be proud of the man that I am, to not
Yeah.
look at myself and see what culture tells us black
Mm-hmm.
men are, because I
Mm-hmm.
am a 6 foot 200 pound plus pound black man. So I
Yeah,
fit the
yeah.
description. When I was growing up, every news outlet was looking for the 6 foot 200 pound black man. So I fit the
Yep.
description.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the job that I do, I've been on elevators and seen people grab their
Mm-hmm.
purse and
Mm-hmm.
all of that kind of stuff. I've seen people cross the street and they don't know. I have zero interest in doing anything to you, but I acknowledge that that is a part of the culture.
Mm-hmm.
And initially, I used it to defend myself, but I'm not going to use that to defend myself. I'm going to defend myself with kindness
Mm-hmm.
and love. And I will say this to men so that they understand. I'm not asking you not to be able to defend yourself and handle
Right.
your business. I'm asking you to be disciplined enough to know when that's necessary,
Absolutely.
because there are a lot of us locked up because we are emotionally
Mm-hmm.
dysregulated, and we
Yeah.
act out on things that
Mm-hmm.
could have been talked about, that could have been handled a different way,
Mm-hmm.
and we would be free.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. One of the things that I
Get
would
that
say,
moment of sweat and do something that's 30 years of your life.
absolutely. Absolutely. Just irrational decisions, not having observable, healthy male relationships and interactions, not knowing what to do with their energy. But I want to pause for a second and talk to the women for a quick moment. Women, part of our responsibility to ourselves when we're seeking to be in relationship is to go through our own healing process. I am working diligently to help remove that myth that a man that isn't operating in bravado and anger and all that kind of stuff is not a man. There are some really good men out here who have done the work so that they don't have to operate in anger and in toxicity. Y'all go get your healing. Don't keep saying a man need to come to you and they've gone to therapy and you hadn't gone to therapy. Stop doing that. Let's get on the same page with this process because they're working through their healings like we're having to work through our healings. So I just want y'all to honor that space for that man in your life. But you started something. You said, I have a poem entitled Smile. You want to recite that poem for me? Oh, you got a different one.
I have a different poem.
Okay.
I'm not trying to plug, but Smile is on my TikTok. Uh, yeah, it's on
TikTok
my
shop.
TikTok page.
Okay.
Page.
Okay. Okay.
Because it's actually unreleased.
Okay.
It's not released, or it's not published in a book. And I don't know that I would, because I think the expression and the feeling needs to be there. You can't always get that when you when somebody's reading something,
Mm-hmm.
um or when they're reading a book.
Yeah.
So yeah, the poem that I have is about my experience with going through my life
Mm-hmm.
mad at my biological father.
Mm.
Um and I wasn't mad at him because of nothing my mother said. I
Mm.
actually was mad at him because culture, TV, news told me to be.
Mm.
One of the things I guess it still it moves something in me until this day is the scene from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air where his dad walks out and
Mhm.
will say why he don't want me. When he says that, I'd be like, nope, not
It's
crying.
it still busts me up. I don't
Yeah,
care how many times I watch that scene
right,
because in that scene, while it was Will and Uncle Phil, that was also me and my
right.
dad. until I decided to develop a relationship with him. That, all right, let me
Right.
know if you're going to make me cry on this poem so I can go ahead and get my Kleenex ready.
Some
Never mind, I
people,
got it. I got this.
so yeah, let me I'm gonna pull it up real quick. So
Okay.
the title of the poem is kind of lengthy, but it's titled "You Do Not Know." I will say this, I'm developing my spoken word poetry skills, but I'm not there yet. So I will read it. I will try to do the emotional stuff in as much as I can, but I'm learning how to develop that. I'm more of a writer than a performer. So I write my stuff. And the only reason I start performing it is because the people that I was trying to pay
Mm-hmm.
to read it was like, I couldn't do it any justice. I'm
Mm-hmm.
it. You have to read
It's
this.
you.
Right.
It's you. So, regardless if you're reading it directly or even if you put emphasis on certain words, it's your natural you. Can't nobody
Right.
do you like you do you.
Absolutely.
All right, I'm
People
gonna be
would not
quiet.
let
I'm
me
listening.
pay to do it for me.
Mm-hmm.
So the title of this poem is "You Do Not Know." Uh, this is a story about a man who wasn't there for his kid. The kid grew up in a world hearing terms like deadbeat, and if he cared, he'd be there. The kid would be asked questions like, "If it were you, what would keep you away?" Completely ignorant of how life works, the kid confidently says nothing. This question hardens the kid's heart more against his father. Uh, their answer reinforces their ignorance. The kid grows up in a world that gives them visual examples of situations like his on TV, in magazines, in movies, and in real life. They're being heavily influenced and do not know it. They've already been told there's absolutely no reason at all why he shouldn't be there. He is a man. And if he were, in fact, a man, he would have been there. Life happens, and the kid becomes everything their imaginary father wasn't. Yes, the kid had an imaginary father. What else could the man be besides what the kid was raised to believe he was? The kid isn't the kid isn't a deadbeat. The kid is there for his children. The kid has gotten into a little trouble in life. They have always done things, but they've for the most part done things right. They get the chance to talk to their father over the years. And every time they talk to the man they've created in their heads rather than the person that's 50% responsible for their existence. The man takes this Oh, I'm sorry. The man takes this. He just listens for his opportunity. He knows they don't know he tried. He knows they don't realize there is more to life than the story they were told. He knows that they don't know his side of the story. He also knows that what they do know is that he wasn't there. He remains optimistic that one day he'll get his opportunity. One day, the kid, now an adult, talks to his father, and they have ears now. The father tests the waters to make sure the adult ears have developed. He sees the moment and he seizes the moment. The father pours his heart out. He never mentions the mother despite their differences. The father knows the mother has been there. Any chance he will have of being heard cannot include that. The adult listens to their father in shock. They don't want what he's saying to be true, but he is answering questions in their life, in the life of the adult, didn't know they had about their childhood. He is answering questions about the adult's life that he didn't know. The father understands that being a kid at the time isn't a valid excuse. He
Mm.
understands not knowing his father didn't justify putting the kid in the same situation. He understands he could have tried harder, but how hard should he have had to try to see his kid? The father would never say it, but the adult thinks it. The adult listens to the father, and for the first time in their life, they hear their father, and not just the man culture taught them they had to see and hear. I'm sorry, they hear their father, and not the man culture taught them they had to see and hear him as. They listen with their heart and not just with the cultural influences they were raised under. They listen and they learn. I'm not saying that if you listen to the other side's story, you will change. I'm not saying it will make a difference. What I am saying is that you do not know, like I did not know until I listened and I learned. I'm sorry
Mm.
for how chopped up it was, but yeah, that's
No,
the
that
piece.
I don't think you understand. Even in the choppy parts of what you think was choppy, was room for the words to marinate
Mm,
because what you're saying in that poem is what I often say to clients who have mommy and daddy issues. Until you actually sit down and hear their story, your wound's not going to heal because you have a presumed idea of what was going on. That poem is powerful.
thank you.
It's powerful. It's challenging you to say there's more than one side to the story, and even the story I told myself. Phew, that's
Mm.
powerful. That is powerful. Can you imagine when you're talking to men who are experiencing their own father's wounds by not being able to be present in their children's lives right now, wrestling with the fact that, am I repeating the same thing that my dad did? Can you imagine that poem giving them the courage to be open?
Yeah, I hope it would. It's so in the book, there's actually another poem in the book where I talk about my experience the first time I experienced going from living in a house with my kids to my kids visiting me.
Mm.
And yeah, it made me feel like the man that I created in my head about my father, I felt like
Mm-hmm.
that man. And that
Wow.
gave me space to say, okay, I gotta have grace for my dad. Like, cause I don't know
Mm-hmm.
his story.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, I hope that men will I hope that men will find a safe space or
Mm-hmm.
develop their own safe space within it when they
Mm-hmm.
do read it.
Yeah. If you were in front of a group of men right now that are silently struggling with the things that you have struggled with, what would you say to them?
I would first let them know that I am going to share my safe space with them,
Mhm, mhm,
but the goal is for them to develop their own safe space. And more than talk, I would just listen without judgment, without any critique. If they want me
mhm.
to say something, I'll say something. But
Mhm.
outside of that, I want them to develop the ability to speak their feelings
Yeah.
because they
Yeah.
feel them,
Mhm,
but they can't speak them. And so if you just feel this thing, but you don't give it language,
mhm,
it's hard to name it. And I know that
mhm.
the more I learn to name things, the more healing I experience.
Mm-hmm.
So I would try to help men start the process of being able to name things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would encourage them to do things that culture may say is feminine. I would encourage a man to journal. I would encourage
Mm-hmm.
him to write it down. I would encourage him to do things like go out into the woods and start grounding because I wholeheartedly believe in grounding.
All day, every
It is a
day.
spiritual thing for me. I
Mm-hmm.
used to joke about it until one day I went and did it, and I literally felt Earth take it, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
wait, what just happened?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't
Mm-hmm.
know. So I would tell those men, hey, bro, you don't lose your
Take your
manhood points
shoes
here,
off.
right?
Take your shoes off. What people don't realize is the amount of nerves in the bottom of your feet. If you ever watch the movie Avatar and you see that they go to the tree of wisdom and they make that connection, that is literally what's happening when you're grounding
Mhm.
because those nerves are becoming attached to the oracles of the universe through the
Mm,
ground. And it's actually
right.
whatever you're releasing in that moment, it's almost like a blood transfusion. I'm releasing all this toxicity and now I'm getting back positive oxygen back in.
Mm, yeah.
Grounding, baby, I'm a ground. People call me country. You always outside without shoes on. Okay. I grew up in Memphis,
Hmm.
Tennessee. We ain't had to wear shoes. We was outside
Hmm.
without shoes on. And didn't know it
Absolutely.
then that we were grounding.
Right.
So pooh, that's such a powerful message. Such a powerful message. So, quick question for you. How do you
Mhm.
resonate with being authentically peculiar?
I absolutely love being authentically peculiar. That's giving language to something. So I'm going to say something right now that is I don't really say it very often
Mm-hmm.
that much, but my first Justin was very plain, very basic names. You can find it everywhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
My mother had the bright idea of giving me the middle name Unique. And so
I love that.
I always say to myself, I'm Justin Wilson, but I am unique.
Yes.
And so to me, that's what being authentic, being fully you is what I hear when I hear being authentically peculiar. And there's quite literally only one you.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
there has never been another one, nor will there ever be another one. Um, if you do reincarnate, it'll be something else.
Mm-hmm.
But you and your experience is exactly what it is, and you have this speck of time. And whether I think being authentically peculiar is something we have to accept because it's what you are anyway.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. That's it.
Hmm.
So how can men and women, if they so see fit, get in contact with you as a mental health coach, as a mentor, and a motivator?
I can be found on TikTok most of the time. You can inbox me and follow back as long as it's not like I don't feel like it's a bot. I follow back because I'm not too important not to follow back. I'm not trying to run the numbers up for that reason. You can reach me on TikTok. You can reach me at my email address, justinuwilson5@gmail.com. Um, I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I have a YouTube channel. I need to develop it more, but I do have a YouTube channel, and I'm a human being. Like I'm not just uh trying to help people move forward. I'm
Mhm.
experiencing the things that I'm telling people. And one thing you have to know about me is I am a mental health coach. I am not a therapist. I do not diagnose. I will make sure to point you in the direction of Marcia. She actually can help you with the work. I do not step out of my lane. I wholeheartedly refuse to step out of my lane. So If you're looking for a therapist, I'm not the person you want to look for. I am the person that once you have seen a therapist, um, and you still need that extra push, I'm your guy. I'm gonna work with you because
Mm-hmm.
I strive to understand where you are and where you're working from.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I encourage you to seek therapy. Uh, find a therapist that works for you. A good therapist does not mind telling you, "Hey, I need you to work with somebody else."
Mm-hmm.
I've experienced good therapists in
Mm-hmm.
my lifetime. Contrary to what some religious organizations teach, it doesn't violate your vow or your belief or your faith to God to see a therapist. One has nothing to do with the other.
Mm-hmm.
I often think about the scripture that says, and be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And we often hear the word repentance, but a lot of people in that church context say repentance means to turn from your way, from God's way to your way, to from your way to God's way. But in the original Greek, the word is metanoia, and it literally means changed mind. And I do
Period.
believe that God has given some human beings the ability that have done the studies that have been so committed to wanting to help other people that
Mm-hmm.
they know how to help you reach those areas of you
Mm-hmm.
to help you heal you.
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing I forgot to mention. Therapists don't heal you, they help you heal you.
My name is not Jesus, Yeshua, none of that. My name is
Right,
Marcia.
right,
My anointing and appointment on this planet is to be as a guide to help you get where God has purpose for your life.
right,
It ain't my job to heal you.
right.
Now,
That's
do
your
I
job.
have some gifts that God
Absolutely.
used? Absolutely. But please stop coming to therapy thinking that we got some kind of magic ball, some kind of magical concoction to heal. It's work. Therapy is work,
Right.
and it's a commitment to working for yourself. I can't want your healing more
Absolutely.
than you want your healing. I just can't. And I fired clients that
Mm,
have wanted me to work harder than their commitment to them. They come back
absolutely.
and be like, man, I should have just listened because now I done got myself in a whirlwind of trouble. If I allow you back as a client, we get ready to run a restricted program because
Right.
my goal is to get you where it is you say you want to be. But you can't keep running and flip flopping like fishes because
Right.
how is that helping you? No real therapist worth their money and salt want to see a client re-enter into a traumatic space that they've already been healed from.
Absolutely.
We just don't. We don't.
Mhm.
I don't believe in that whole revolving door thing. We'll give them just enough and then let them. No, I need you to be committed. So thank you for plugging in therapy,
Yes.
and encouraging people to come into therapy. This is such a powerful conversation. I almost feel like we need a part two.
You let
We
me
probably
know.
go, we probably gonna do a part two. I'm just feeling it, but it is such a powerful opportunity for men to realize their voices through men that have done the work to realize their own voice. Thank you so much for saying yes. Listen, you all go out there and follow Justin, email him. Now, I'm gonna say this, and don't y'all get upset at me, but don't follow him on no BS. Just don't. Leave that to the side. Don't do that. Follow him if you really want to begin your journey to healing. As he shared as a mental health coach, he's not going to take on anybody that has severe trauma, severe mental health diagnosis, and things of that nature. He will work in tandem with a therapist as you all work together to get you where you need to be. So, you know, take that into consideration. Just say it's okay for me to start. So I just want to say to everyone, listen, Give yourself permission to feel. Give yourself permission to heal. Give yourself permission to become. Justin,
Mm.
thank you again. And thank you all so much for being a part of Authentically Peculiar with Marcia. And just remember, go ahead and share this conversation with your boys. Let them hear this. Let's shift the dynamics of what masculinity is. Stay authentic, stay powerful, stay empowered, and in all things that you do, stay authentically peculiar. We'll see you at the next episode. Thank you for sharing time and space with us today on Authentically Peculiar with Marcia. Don't forget to like, comment, and share the podcast with everyone that you know. In addition, go out and support each of the guests and their own social platforms. Buy their products, leave them a comment. We'll see you on the next episode of Authentically Peculiar with Marcia.